Welcome to Psych's The Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast, your regular dose of pharmacy CPA advice to fuel your bottom line, featuring pharmacists, key vendors, and other innovators.
Your checks, yes, you can call me, because we the best, Sykes and Company.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to another episode here of the Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast. And today we have Mandy Mahoney with Storey Marketing. And Mandy, we met at the PCCA conference.
Correct.
This past October. I've seen Storey Marketing on the general ledgers when we've been reviewing a few pharmacy clients of our own. So some of our clients I know use you guys. But it was nice to meet you in person there at the show. We got into some interesting conversation, and obviously, especially around compounding, because I believe that's more of your niche area there, compounding.
It
if I'm
is.
mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
How important marketing is in that area, and it is extremely important. So if you'll just kind of kick us off and give us your experience in that area.
Sure. Just in general, I think most communities don't even understand what compounding is. So most pharmacies have to go out and start at ground zero to introduce what compounding is, how that sets them apart from a regular retail pharmacy that people see on every street corner. So we've always centered around not just marketing, but education. So we provide materials, both print and digitally, that have more of an education basis. They're referenced, so the pharmacist can back up what they're saying. We also follow APC to follow their marketing guidelines. Of course, we attend other shows like PCCA. And we take a very conservative approach because we have to be aware of the laws. And so we're always very, very careful. So that definitely sets us apart from using just a local marketing company. The materials we provide and the content we provide is very, if they are ever questioned, they have references to back up that information.
Right. So they're industry specific.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about semaglutide or whatever, and you mean, I think right.
You did. And even that topic, I mean, we have to be so careful. I mean, there's so much regulation around it, and obviously it's all over the internet. So we try to not even mention specific drug names, but more focus around the services that the pharmacy offers. So if they're getting into semaglutide, they may talk about, we can offer alternatives to the injection to help you manage your weight. You know, instead of they can't make claims about what they're doing and guarantee that they're going to experience weight loss or, you know, a healthy lifestyle. It's more of, we offer help, we offer support, we offer alternatives. So we try to keep those pretty general and focus on the service and the patient care more so than we can compound this specific thing.
Right.
Well, that's really interesting to think about. You know, when you think about marketing, you think you're just marketing to, you know, the business to people, but actually, like you said, taking something like compounding and needing to actually educate. Is a big piece, because I could see that in the town that I'm from. I think if someone opened a compounding shop around here, people, you know, would be a little confused as to exactly what that is, but it could be very beneficial. So it's really about educating and then marketing the actual business itself. It's kind of two pieces to that. Yeah.
Yeah. And plus they also have to, not just to the patients in the community, but then help to get that information into the prescriber's hands, because they can't help them if they can't get a prescription. So,
or if they aren't talking to them about that. So that's where, you know, dealing with your providers and talking and having relationships with your providers in the area is so very important.
Right.
There's two sides to it. There's the patient side marketing, and then there's the prescriber side marketing.
Correct.
So if you're a pharmacy out there, and every now and again we'll hear pharmacies talk about, you know, I'm going to expand compounding. I do a little bit. I want to expand into and grow it. or I want to start compounding. From a marketing perspective, how would you, how should a pharmacy approach that from a marketing perspective? Just getting started in there or really wanting to grow their marketing?
From our standpoint, what we try to do is take a very holistic approach with them. So if someone comes to us and they're just starting, that's kind of our favorite, because we can start and get them started on the right foot right from the beginning. And so setting up consistent information on their website, obviously putting that right on the homepage that they offer compounding, what that is, what falls under that. You know, some people might not even understand, why would I need a customized medication? So giving examples of things that they might specialize in, like hormone therapy or vet medications, those sorts of examples help educate them. Also setting up the proper social media channels. We always tell people you don't have to be everywhere, but think of where your patients are. And most of our clients start with Facebook and Instagram to post patient-based information. LinkedIn is frequently overlooked. For sure, the pharmacist/owner should have their own LinkedIn page to share information, as well as the pharmacy page itself, because that could be where they connect with providers, is on LinkedIn. And so they may share more detailed information on there. So we try to get all of those entities set up correctly. Obviously, having a good Google business profile is also key. So if they're adding compounding, they'll want to add that to their service options on their listing. Again, Google business profiles are extremely overlooked. It is free and it's very good organic search engine placement if you have it set up properly and are utilizing it. And the more information you can provide on that profile, the better it ranks. And we run into, everybody wants to be first on Google, and doing these foundational things is really key. And most of the time, they don't even need to pay for ongoing SEO if they have these other entities set up correctly and consistently and are using them.
Interesting.
I can relate with having things set up correctly from the beginning. We're big advocates of that in the accounting.
I'm sure.
When you said that earlier, I was like, yes, that's what I always say. If you can do it right from the beginning and set up a good foundation from the beginning, it makes everything so much easier. So,
well, in our world, we find, they might have a friend from church set up their website, or their kids set up their Facebook page, but then it's 5 years later, that person has moved on, and now nobody knows who owns the website, can't access the website. So we spend a lot of time helping people clean up their mess, essentially, and get everything. And a lot of times we find that pharmacists and business owners in general just don't realize the importance of owning those online entities. It's just as important as owning, physical aspects of your business. So that you would be amazed how many of those cleanups we have to do. I would say, more than half of our clients come and don't realize kind of what the digital mess is that they have.
Yeah. We get it on a whole different level. See, that's exactly, we do totally different things, but we're in sync on that.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you guys think in just terms of marketing are the most top 3 things a pharmacy needs to have in place for marketing? Obviously,
definitely a website. Even
that is maybe updated. You need to be updating it and stuff. I mean,
100%. And we try to. It has to be user friendly. So, I mean, the industry standard is to redesign a website every 2 to 3 years. So it is honestly just very difficult for most businesses to keep up with that. But if you're keeping your content current, have tools on the site that both patients and practitioners can use. So ordering online refills, online transfers. But beyond that, in the compounding world, if they're doing consultations, they can have people fill out those forms ahead of time. They can take payment. We have several that sell nutritional supplements within an online store as part of their website. So definitely having a website that is easy to use. From the practitioner side, because of compounding, they're educating normally. A lot of our customers have practitioner portals where they house additional information that they just don't want out on the web. So the doctor could log in to get ideas of how to prescribe. There could be videos back there, but that just gives them a kind of a more exclusive access point to the pharmacy to get that additional information. So for sure, a user-friendly website with tools that the community can use. Most people now, if you don't have a Facebook page as a business, they don't think that's legitimate. So I would say for sure a Facebook page and your Google business profile are to claim your business profile and update that. And I would say those are the top 3 things you should be doing online. Now within the print world, it's a whole different ball game because it really does depend on the local area. Our local area, we don't have a compounder. I think our closest one is an hour away. So they may want to utilize email marketing, for instance, to reach our community, because if we needed a compounder, we would very easily drive to that city to use them. So they may consider email. A lot of people aren't doing mail products so much anymore, but we do sometimes we have practitioner newsletters that they can mail either print or email versions too. And sometimes mail gets more attention because we just simply don't get a lot of it now. So it's not completely dead. It just depends on the relationship with your, community. Yeah. And having handouts and things in the pharmacy is also really important. If it's a hybrid pharmacy and they're coming to pick up, their monthly medication, they may need a supplement because that medication might cause a deficiency that they're unaware of. So having even handouts on hand that they could hand out as they're checking out.
And Mandy, my guess would be that, we've got pharmacies that do all of their advertising solely on social media. So, and then we have others that they still do some print. Billboards and things of that nature. So I guess it all comes back to knowing your customer base, knowing that community, and figuring out what makes sense and what works in your community as far as advertising. Am I correct on that?
100%, yes. And
even if you don't believe in print advertising, there could be scenarios that make sense for that.
And we still do a lot of traditional trifold brochures. A lot of our pharmacies just have those on hand for the various compounding specialties. And people might peruse through, and even if it makes them aware that you offer that service, then that dollar piece of paper was probably worth it. And a lot of people do put their QR codes on there. So if it's a hormone brochure, they could put a QR that goes to their consultation page. Whatever the situation is, but the printed materials definitely do have a place. And our brochures have been really, really popular because I do just keep them kind of as a resource center in the pharmacy.
I'm old school. I like paper.
I do too. I like paper pencil. Yeah. I do too.
But your dad does not. He tells everybody you shouldn't have any of that. Don't waste your money on that.
Yeah. All right, how about this one? If you can bring him up, what about what's your opinion on billboards?
Honestly, our company, we don't do a ton of that. We've done logo design and things, and if set up properly, they could use it on a billboard. I know here in our local community, we notice the billboards around. We don't have tons of them, so the small businesses in our town use them and get lots of bang for their buck. So I do think, again, it depends on the demographic and the cost. If you're in downtown Pittsburgh, doing a billboard there is way more expensive than doing it here in our hometown. So
we have some clients that have done some very creative billboards that I probably can't even mention. I'm not going to. Some fun ways to bring people into the pharmacy. So I think that there's a place, like you said, that
I
if it
agree.
makes sense. And this person is a compounder, and so that's for another day. But she has ways of explaining what she does and how to get them into the pharmacy. So we also in the past have, and I think we still have a few. I don't know what your feeling is on this, that some clients that use the commercials that kind of roll through. Again, it works, I think, in their area during kind of the soaps during the day. So
that would make sense.
People that are home that are watching the soaps, they're hitting up that local, commercial time frame there in midday. Well,
and we all know that mostly it's the female in the household that usually is in charge of the healthcare. Yeah. So that's exactly the audience you're speaking to. So yeah, I think that's great. And we've had people that have delved into even some of the streaming channels. I haven't heard any results. It's nothing that we offer here just because we don't have recording studios and things, but it's definitely something to look into. And even in the podcast world, I mean, there could be a place to, I mean, there's so many, so to do advertising on there.
What about, so a lot of people like younger crowds just don't have TVs now. They, YouTube or something. So what about YouTube commercials?
That's definitely
streaming,
that's definitely a worthwhile investment. And it depends on your demographic. I mean, some people are targeting the younger demographic, but like our hormone customers are typically middle to older age. So it just depends where your people are. So
I think that's the takeaway here is you've got to know, which we talk about that with everything on products that you offer, services that you're offering. It could be something that you're really into and you really love, but if it doesn't work for your demographic, you're not going to sell it. It has to be, you have to cater to what's there for you. Now, I think there is a part of educating, like with compounding, and like you mentioned, explaining it and making people aware of what's there and what it could do to help them. But I have a very serious question for you, Mandy. Being that you mentioned social media, do you guys offer any help with like TikTok dances and choreography and all that for
we
those?
Do not. We don't, because those need to be much. They need to be much more natural.
We see that so much. I've tried to get Ollin to do one for us, but
Bonnie's begging us to do that.
Yeah, I just think Ollin and doing a TikTok dance for us would really take us to that next level.
No, all those short video forms, whether it's Instagram Reels, Facebook Lives, all of those things are extremely successful, but they have to be natural. I mean, they can tell if you're reading a script.
Yes. I do see a couple of our clients that do them, and they seem, I think for their communities, it helps them having a personal approach to, and people feel comfortable and they like them, and they kind of start to, we've had one that always has her dog in the videos that stays there at the pharmacy, and everybody loves the dog and they dress up the dog and it's their thing, again, wouldn't work for everyone, but they do that. But we have a couple that their staff do dances, little fun dances once or twice a week. And it kind of shows, I think the staff like it. I think it incorporates everybody and they have a good time with it.
We've also encouraged people to do, like a demonstration video, or a lab tour. It might not be as fun as a dance, but even just that interest level. And we do also, you have to be careful what is happening in the background. If somebody's compounding, even if you're just staging it for online, they need to have their gloves on. They need to be proper, like they're doing it for real. Or, even if they're doing a silly dance in the front, is there somebody standing behind them doing something that they shouldn't be doing? Or
people that have gotten in trouble with TikToks and that sort of thing. I know there was a nurse that, had her badge on and you could see like where she worked and everything, and she got in big trouble for it. So
so we did give those sorts of tips, like, and even for their still photos on their website, be aware what's in the background, is somebody's lunch sitting on the counter, or, whatever the situation is, even if it's a stage photo, they have to be really, really careful that they're doing it correctly, because it could certainly get attention they don't need or want. So,
Right. Yes.
So I think, Bonnie, I think she was saying our demographic is not into.
I think you're wrong.
I think it could.
would
It
like
does work. And they definitely get attention. So
what kind of attention do you want?
Don't give Austin any ideas. He'll have us dance the next thing.
Yes, I need to get with Austin. Yes.
And that could make the CPA world much more exciting for people.
Fun, exciting group. I know. I tell him this. We're not kind of known to be exciting and fun, so we need something.
Well, there's a reason why. I mean, we're just nerds.
We'll do something for like the last day, April 15th. It'll be like fun.
There you go. That's perfect.
You can do it. What else, Mandy, is you see in the marketing world that pharmacies need to pay attention to or have on their radar these days?
We do lots of little do's and don'ts when we send things out. So one thing that we take we're very cautious about. People put forms on their website. They may just throw up a Google form, but if you're collecting information from your patients, you need to be sure it's HIPAA compliant. All forms, whether it's a contact form or whatever on a website, we would use a HIPAA compliant form, because you never know what people are going to tell you. Right. And that just saves paperwork, because if they share things they shouldn't, then that just opens new cans of worms. There's also other online things that people just are not aware of, or even like a small, my friend from church who built my website aren't aware of, is ADA compliance. Having your site accessible to people with varying abilities is very important. And it has opened people up to lawsuits if they can't navigate your site using a keyboard or different devices. So depending, there's it's simply a plugin that we add on to the site, so that then those tools are available for people who need them. And also the proper, legal language associated with that. They all have to have their notice of privacy practices for HIPAA on their site. Cookie compliance. We've all had to accept cookies on sites. That is not federally mandated, but it's coming, and it is in certain states. So if someone contacts you from a state where it is mandated, there's issues. So when we are going through a go live process on a website, it is nearly a full day process, because we're installing all these other safeguards that are required, so that they are compliant in all ways that we can control. So those are things that are commonly, I would say, overlooked. Accessibility and people friendly is a huge marketing standpoint. I know this is just a Google fun tip. If on your Google profile, it asks all sorts of questions about, do you have a accessible restroom, whether it's public or not. If it's accessible to someone in a wheelchair, you can add that to your profile. And it just shows you're welcoming to more people, depending, if you're Black owned, women owned, all those sorts of things. There's so many options on the back end of Google, and those sorts of things show that you are friendly to the general population and anyone is accepted, and Google will place you higher if you're showing those things. So, those are simple toggles on the back end that could.
Google had that back end, and that's free, you said?
Yes. Once you've claimed your profile.
That's an automatic. If you're a pharmacy out there, you need to just go do that.
100%. And obviously we do that for people. Because Google also has some, in order to claim your listing, if it hasn't been claimed, you have to go through a verification process. So sometimes that can be a little painful, but completing that profile, and you can post to your Google profile like you post to Facebook or any other platform. People, if you have an online store, you can stream your products. Obviously, Google reviews are a huge factor in ranking.
They asking people to leave with.
Yes, and so having a HIPAA compliant manner to request those reviews, responding to reviews. I mean, that's something a lot of people forget, as people are sending you reviews, even if it's just a star rating, responding to that review, obviously in a private manner. So you're not saying like, thanks for letting us, prescribe, give you your hormones, but,
Right.
As much like keywords as you can use in that response, like, thank you for using our compounding pharmacy, without being awkward, but responding to reviews is huge. And it also, any content on that profile goes towards your rankings. So, and that's all easy things to do. I mean, we all get notifications when we get a review from our Google profile or your Facebook profile. So keeping those things current, and that also includes negative reviews. A lot of times, people may write off and be like, well, that person was just grumpy that day. But you or another consumer does not know that. And they might be like, wow, that person really had a terrible experience. And then, so writing a thoughtful response and giving them a way to resolve the issue is really important, to do that publicly. And even if it is saying, contact us, call the pharmacy.
You would love to make it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so they know that you care. And yeah, everybody makes a mistake. I mean, it's unusual to see everybody have a perfect profile, but if you have, hundreds of 5 stars and then you have, a couple lower stars, as long as you've, responded properly, admitted wrong, if you did actually make the mistake or whatever, that helps so much. And that's more of a grassroots kind of things to help. But we do have a full reputation management system that helps people send out review requests, whether it's by email, whether it's by text. So there are ways to do that without taking the awkwardness out of it, of like, can you give us a review? And a lot of people do utilize QR codes to put, whether it's a sign or it could be a bag clipper when you give them a prescription. You're not supposed to do any sort of incentives like scan this and get a gift or whatever. But if someone says they're happy with your service, there's nothing wrong with asking for a review after that.
Yeah, those reviews go a long way.
They do. And that will come down. If there's 3 pharmacies right in one town, Google will place them higher. If it's like, well, this person has 100 reviews and this one has 2, right? It will rank you by that. So.
Yep.
I got the sun blaring in my eyes. Yeah,
but natural light going today.
Well, Bonnie, did you catch that when you've made a mistake, just admitting that you're wrong? You heard that part, right?
Yep. Are you insinuating something?
I'm just messing. Well, Mandy, I think we're coming up on about a half hour here. Bonnie, you want to drop the...
Sure. So Mandy, at the end of each of our podcasts, we like to have a bottom line. It's kind of the bottom line pharmacy podcast, kind of quick takeaway from what we've discussed. So I'm going to go first because I like to go first. That way nobody takes mine. I'm going back to the very beginning, which made a lot of sense. It's something very simple, but the marketing I'm taking away here, especially with pharmacy, is to really not to just promote the business. It's also to educate. And educate about the products there. So that's a big key. I hope our clients that are listening will take that away from this as well, is to not just say, hey, I'm here, but also these are the things that we do and why. And that gets more people, maybe interested in something they haven't tried yet that may help them.
I think that's a good point, because a lot of times you hear about the marketing to the providers,
that's big,
doctors and stuff. You don't really hear a whole lot about marketing specifically to patients on the other side. So I think that's They go hand in hand, obviously.
Right. I guess mine is do some hygiene. Do look into, is your website current? Most people, I would hope by now, have a mobile responsive site, but just looking at your site, is it current? Your staff, are those photos current on your site? Do you own your site? I mean, looking at your different profiles and just taking a look at the back end and seeing who has access. You could have old employees on a Facebook page and not be aware. So I know that's not really a marketing tip, but just a wise business practice. Just take a look at all of these online entities. Do you have access to your own pages that represent the business that you own? And then from there, make sure that they are consistent and you're talking about the same thing, because the more those words are out there, the better you'll perform online.
And I would just like to say that that's a hard one, because
yes,
Scotty and I have been involved in our website to a small degree over the last 10 years. And it seems like by the time you do all the work to get it updated, you're only good for about 6 months and it's time to start the process again.
And we are just as guilty. So it is really, and it's hard because it's not like we're taking care of our customers. And actually I was on our own site today and I'm like, oh, I see we have some things that need to be updated. So we are just as, it is something that we try to put on our calendars as just a normal, just as you're paying your bills, whether it's once a month or every other month, just take a look and make sure everything is current. Like, things like your hours. I mean, with COVID, people change their hours a lot. And so there's a lot of those profiles out there that have different hours, which is a frustration and could cause bad reviews. So making sure all that information is correct is really important.
So do a checkup on your marketing. If you have no idea what you're doing there, do a checkup.
Right.
I got another one. Start from the ground up. Doing it right.
Yes.
That goes for accounting too. Just a plug.
Yep. 100%.
Nice. Speaking of that, I'm going to take this opportunity because I know this podcast will probably come out beforehand. There's another ownership workshop for NCPA coming up in March. So anybody that hears this and wants to look into that, looking at maybe owning your own store, it's a good time to start from the
marketing. Marketing is a big piece of that workshop.
It is.
Correct.
It's an ownership workshop and marketing is a big piece of it. So what does that tell you?
Yep. And starting from the ground up, getting everything right from the beginning.
Yep.
And you start marketing before you open. I mean, that's the other thing. We'll have people say, hey, my grand opening's this weekend. I'm ready to start my website. It's like, no. Yeah. So you need to be prepared, put the teasers out and say, this pharmacy's coming soon. Even if it's a landing page and you have your full site launch closer to opening, that's also really key to make a plan for putting those teasers out there that you're coming and you're opening soon on
Scotty
all the
loves
platforms.
a landing page.
I do.
Kidding.
Oh yeah, there's like 1 year, I don't know, like 5.
Had so many landing pages for different
landing page for this. I guess that was the thing back then.
Yes.
I'm like, how many landing pages do we have? Why don't we just send them to the homepage? If you come here, go to the homepage.
That's right.
I get it if you don't have your normal page ready, but. So what you?
I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't want anything to do with websites. I don't want anything.
anything to do with marketing anymore. We had to kind of help with some marketing, Mandy. God bless you, because we had to kind of step into that role for about 6 months last year, and as accountants, we didn't know what we were doing. We did the best we could.
Stick to my numbers, my taxes.
Yeah, that's exactly what we tell people. Stay in your lane.
Yes.
Do what you do best, and we'll take care of the accounting. You take care of the marketing, Mandy. And
right.
Yep.
That's right.
And y'all take care of your patients out there.
Yeah.
And grow your pharmacy. Well, Mandy, thank you so much for joining us today. And we appreciate you having on. This was a good time, and we'll have to do it again.
Yes.